It's been, I don't know, forever since Melty took place in Evo in 2010. Around that time, Melty had its time to shine in one of the biggest fighting game events as a main game. Yep. Getting there as a top 8 player was quite an experience. I don't know if I ever shared or documented it somewhere, but I might as well go on about it. And since I feel this is one of those significant achievements in my life. Before we do, though, let's go back in time in 2009. Street Fighter, the game that literally revived the fighting game genre, finished its first run at Evo, and more fighting games like Tatsunoko vs. Capcom and Tekken 6 were released. Now, Evo had a problem. There were 6 games that would need to be chosen for 2010, and long-running games from past Evos, games like Street Fighter Third Strike, BlazBlue, Soul Calibur, King of Fighters, and Capcom vs. SNK 2, were on the verge of being dropped out of the main roster. As Evo, which game should we keep? At the same time, Melty Blood was having a grand old time at Evo, but not as main games though. Community fans of Melty Blood actually ran side tournaments on the side. My memory calls a time at Evo 2007 where the Melty Blood community got several Melty Blood Actidenza setups for a tournament. Players from all around the US came out to Evo that year to play. I took part in it as well. We ran our Melty Blood tournament, money matches were had, and we had a good time. For me, this was my last hurrah for Melty. Guess I can play it as an IRC netplay game, for kicks, from this point on. That was until in 2008, Melty Blood Actress Again was released in Japanese arcades. Each character had 3 versions to play via the 3 Moon system, and all the Melty Blood players were hyped that we had a new Melty Blood game coming out soon. So, we did what we usually did, watch videos posted from Japanese arcades, theory crafting as we see fit. I was lucky enough that Arcade Infinity, my local arcade at the time, rest in peace by the way, got an actual Actress Again Naomi board. So I enjoyed playing it as much as I could in the arcade settings. It was amazing. And in September 2009, a couple of months after Evo 2009 ended, Actress Again was released on the PS2. I obtained a copy, as well as other players in the US, and we ate it up. Which brings us back to Evo. It was decided in January 2010 that the last game would be decided via a player choice poll. Many games were listed on there, and for some reason, Melty Blood Actress Again was included amongst those classics. Clearly, Melty Blood wouldn't win over games like Street Fighter Third Strike or King of Fighters, would it? Huh. That's interesting. Everyone was surprised. All the players from the other games were angry that this stupid no-name porn fighter would win. Even the Melty Blood players were in disbelief. I was in disbelief even. How did Melty win in a Shoryuken.com forum on a website literally named after a Capcom's character special move? Were the votes illegitimate? Were there dupe accounts all over the internet? Why did Melty win, of all the other games? Perhaps news of this thread was spread to other forums, even worldwide ones, which brought them to this player's choice poll to vote for Melty. Perhaps the votes for all the Capcom games were spread too thinly between 3 different Capcom games. Well, at the end of the day though, Evo verified the results. Melty Blood is now an official Evo game for 2010. All the Melty players, even myself, decided to take this serious, and we trained. Once I heard that Melty Blood Actress Again, not current code, just the original Actress Again in the PlayStation 2, was in Evo 2010, I took the effort to get much better. Yeah, I basically traveled as much as I could. I had practice sessions where I drove all the way to Temecula from LA County to grind against people from Arizona and Northern California and even Vegas. For the tournament itself, There are about 150 people roughly that entered the tournament at the time. A couple people from Japan, people from the East Coast, NorCal, SoCal, some people from the Middle Coast, came down to play Melty Blood around that time. And 4 pools were made. Out of the 4 pools, I was placed in pool 2, which was funny enough dubbed the kiddie pool because none of the killers were at the time or in my pool. But that doesn't mean it was going to be easy to get out of pools. And when it came to Friday, the day of the tournament, the first person I remember had to fight was Brandito, who was using FCL. This was honestly the first time I fought her, like ever. So I was not used to her flicker punch gimmicks and like her throw gimmicks and such. And yeah, it didn't turn out too well. I was quickly taken to losers in the first round. So immediately I was faced with the dilemma that I had to fight my way up the losers pools. I remember after my loss, I felt pretty crushed. And I spent the next hour lamenting at it. But you know what? Needless to say, it was probably good since, because when Losers Pool started, I managed to gain my composure. And I don't know, the will to win suddenly grew within me. At that point, it was just a matter of scrounging my way out of the losers bracket. I remember the certain opponents I faced, like my friend Choco, and old-time rival, since we played each other back in Melty Blood at Cadenza. Probably from the arcade mode now I think about it. He used Satsuki, and at the time, I don't know, I fought a lot of Satsukis at around the time. And, we fought to the bitter end. Needless to say, I managed to eke that one out, but it was not free, man. We both wanted to get that win. And then there was Dippy, another friend of mine. He used Nania. I vaguely remember when he was fighting his previous opponent, I looked closely at his habits. And when I had to fight him, I hate to say it, but I think I remember just downloading him after watching him fight beforehand. And then after that, I had to fight against Kaoblas, who was a Len player. I almost lost him too, because for those who may or may not know, Len has a J2C, which vortexes onto itself. I remember I had to change my strategy to just keep that damn cat away with using my stuffed food, all of my bentos, lots of EX dusts. Once I was able to kind of keep that Len at bay, it was manageable. I remember able to beat him after that strategy. And Nas. I remember Nas. It was a battle for top 8. He was my last opponent before I got up there. I'd have to say, in my opinion, this was a battle of wills. We both wanted to win, And this was also the first time I ever fought Efriogi, who has a lot of very long-ranging normals and unblockables. And I was not familiar at the time. So I really had no idea what to expect. Sorry. Thankfully for me, I actually had my personal friends watching me to provide moral support. And one of my friends even recorded the match. So, I get to watch it again for all eternity. It took me 2 games to finally find out how to face him. Find out which moves were unblockable, how to get around the normals. And that ending, man. The win with doing the Hisui-duken while Ryogi was in the air. And when I got the victory, the angry scream. He just wailed out there, just forever ingrained into my mind. Not only because it's a funny memory, but also I made it. I made top 8. I made top 8. Oh man. What a feeling, man. Friday night was a celebration with my personal friends and lots of drink and decent amount of drinking. I was super happy around that time. Oh yeah, Saturday. I honestly don't remember too much of Saturday because I just remember feeling a lot of dread, and I wasn't able to join myself too much which is a shame, because I was in Vegas. Melty Blood Actor Second Finals was on Sunday at 10 a.m., which was the following day. I also had to check out of my room the same day, so that didn't help at all. Man, my whole Saturday was spent just being a nervous wreck about Sunday. And Sunday was pretty surreal. Before the doors opened, I was outside pacing around and worrying. A chat with Chaos helped soothe my nerves a little, but not by much. At 10 a.m., they let the top 8 players enter first. I saw Spooky briefly, and mentioned at that time he went over to SoCal for an old event called West Coast back in the day. And how after the event we went to an Applebee's after the tournament and just, ate and drank a little bit, It was late at night. But yeah, eventually we, the top 8, sat near the main stage. Off to the side, actually. I was glad to see Shay and HF Blade 2, old friends of mine from SoCal, since we came from the same training grounds. When the audience for MBAA entered and sat down, we all saw Melty on the big projector screen, and we all cheered. We also were hella hype when the attraction screen came on, and the computers fought each other. And everyone was like, yeah, woo, like it was a real match. That was a funny memory. Not only that, but Red Rapper was doing mixtapes for each of the top 8 games before finals. And he even did one for Melty as well. The treatment that Evo gave us was nice. And yeah, when they called my name to play on stage, I remember walking up there, nervous as all hell. I couldn't even look at the audience. All I wanted to do was get up on stage, sit down, and play my match. And I did exactly that. I sat Indian style on the floor, with my left foot sticking out a bit, and I anchored the back end of my stick to my shoe that stuck out. I laid my hands on my stick at a slight forward angle, a position I chose to use throughout the whole tournament. I picked my main, Hisui, Sea Moon, Color 21, and my opponent, Yet, from NorCal. He picked H. Tono. And the actual match is recorded and posted on YouTube, so I won't go into too much match specifics. And as for how I did, not that good. I dropped combos, got caught by overheads, staggered, my 5Cs and Misui Dukens kept on being bunkered. I also did not know how to fight H-Moons at the general at the time, so I was not prepared in the slightest. The most I was able to muster was 1 round win by timeouts, but it was one on the board. And even when all is lost, when all seemed futile, I took a gamble on Wake Up, and I threw him in a corner. In the heat of the moment, I knew I had to keep him there, betting it all on my EX Dust to hold him down, despite knowing that the next hit would end me. I just needed to confirm that one stray hit. Needless to say, I lost quite convincingly. The rest of my time up there was just me lamenting my loss and loosening up. Eventually, I ended up watching and enjoying the matches on the big screen. It was great to observe with the audience in the main hall. Such things as Shay's Bimu loops with Mekisui. Kusanagi strong Alko play. And the endless Kohaku noises on the big screen with Garu versus Lord Knight. It was after the tournament was over and that all 8 of us stood on the big stage, looking at the crowd. The top 8 medal was placed on each of our necks, and Garu got his trophy. And then everyone cheered. And I was on the big stage with everyone. To this day, I'm amazed I was able to make top 8. My guess is that my desire to win was stronger than opponents I fought. That initial loss against Brandino probably made me a stronger player, which just happened to make me pay more attention to my opponents. I do regret, though, falling apart on that big stage and not using Yusui at her fullest. Speaking of everyone else, I'm not the only one who has a story in this. There were many other players who I'm sure worked hard to get there too. Top 8, for example, had some notable names who I'm sure have their own stories up to this point as well. I can only offer my own perspective on each of them. And while I was doing my own thing, all the other Melty players hosted a team tournament on Saturday in the venue. There was even a dedicated Melty gathering in someone's hotel room to hang, play Melty, and probably even have some money matches. It was quite the gamer room, I must say. I even saw them gather a group picture, which I did see at the time. I wish I joined them at that moment, but I guess I was too embarrassed for some reason. It is what it is, though. And that's how Melty beat Capcom at Evo 2010, and how the Melty community gave it their all. And how, despite all odds, I got on that top 8 stage. I also never realized how much time I took to train in Melty. Not just for the initial Evo training, but also the previous tournaments back when West Toast was a thing. There is also the bit of that Hisui pride that drives me, and the fact that I never really stopped playing Melty Blood at the time. And then looking back as well, you know what? I feel I was a top Hisui player at the time. I got top 8s at several West Toasts. I got top 8 at Evo. I even went to final round. I got top 8 there, and also at NEC 13. I guess it improves I'm not a complete fluke. I do not regret the time I spent playing that game, since it carried over to all the other games I play. And I got a medal for it. That medal sure is a nice bonus. Well, that's it. How do I close this video now? Oh, how's this? I'm not kidding when I said Evo 2010 had been life-changing for me. It's sorta why I have so much tournament footage in this channel. For various reasons, though, I haven't had the energy to continue doing the tourney VOD thing. Call it extreme burnout, if you will, but I feel that I've spent so much time highlighting everyone else that I've sort of neglected myself. I've been wanting to tell my stories for a while now, so I hope this video is a good path forward for my channel, and for me. Let me know if you enjoyed this kind of thing, and if by some chance you have memories of the Melty in 2010, share it in the comments. Thank you for watching, everyone.